One of the most amazing things I got to witness, I was this summer with my beautiful girlfriend Bettina in Monaco, and we were driving around, and on an average day, 50% of the supercars, the Bugattis, the Ferraris, the this, all had Ukrainian plates. Do we think that was actually earned in Ukraine? I'd been to Ukraine 20 years ago. It wasn't like there was a plethora of wealth there. And yet, you see the number two there getting arrested for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. You hear all the rumors about what's going on. When I see every license plate on a supercar in Monaco being Bugattis, the rich fled. They let what they believed to be the peasant class fight these wars, and there was no incentive to stop, because as long as the money train was coming and they were stealing it and no one was auditing anything, the leaders, the decision makers, there was no reason for them to ever come to peace. No different than Putin. It wasn't the son of oligarchs that were fighting these wars. It's someone from Siberia that they're sending there, and he utilized the war to rebuild his manufacturing base. It was very clear that the sanctions that we put on did nothing to actually help. All it did was jack up the price of oil, which allowed him to basically pay for the war with the delta between the two while building up his manufacturing base. There was no incentive for anyone to ever get to the table. Zelensky knew he wouldn't win another election again, and they were continuing to steal. Putin was building up his manufacturing base, and all we had in the wake was millions of young men dying for nothing.
This is my video update on this Sunday afternoon, December the 7th, coming to you from Athens, Greece. Let's talk about some news. And before we get to our main news stories for today, remember to like this video. And when you smash that like button, remember to say, I like it a lot. Smash that like button. Say, I like it a lot. It's a great feeling. And also share this video if you want. And subscribe to this channel. It would be very cool to have you as a subscriber to this channel. Let's now talk about some news, and let's start off with the Doha Forum. All of the cool kids are in Doha. They are participating at the Doha Forum. You have Christiane Amanpour. She is chairing various panels in Doha at the Doha Forum. Hillary Clinton, she was speaking in Doha the other day. Tucker Carlson is in Doha attending this event. Kaja Kallas, I talked about Kaja Kallas, who was on one of the panels that Amanpour was moderating. She is in Doha. And Trump Jr. was on a panel in Doha, and he was asked about Project Ukraine and his father's support for Project Ukraine, or if his father is going to walk away from Project Ukraine, was actually what Donald Trump Jr. was asked. And Donald Trump Jr., he basically said that his father, the President of the United States, is listening to the people of the United States, and the U.S. can no longer simply write blank checks to Zelensky for this conflict. And he talked about the corruption in Ukraine. He mentioned how Zelensky's, I believe he called him Zelensky's number 2 or Zelensky's number 1, referring to Andrei Yermak, how he was allegedly caught up in a corruption scandal for hundreds of millions of dollars, or for millions of dollars, I believe Trump Jr. said, for millions of dollars. Billions, Mr. Trump Jr. Billions. But anyway, let's stick with millions. And then he mentioned how he was in Monaco on a holiday with his girlfriend, and all they saw were Bugattis with Ukrainian license plates. So that was his answer to Project Ukraine, and highlighting the corruption taking place in Ukraine. But yeah, all the cool kids are in Doha. I'm not in Doha. I was not invited. I'm not one of the cool kids. Not yet. Maybe one day I will get invited to Doha to participate at the Doha Forum. But for now, I am in Athens, Greece. Beautiful Athens, Greece, with the beautiful Christmas trees. A Christmas vibe here in Athens. So the coolest of all the cool kids was interviewed by Christian Amanpour, international correspondent and a very sophisticated journalist. And of course, I am talking about Al-Shara, also known as Al-Jolani. And Amanpour's question to Al-Jolani, Al-Shara, was how do you square the circle? How do you deal with the criticism that you were a terrorist and now you are the president of Syria? How do you deal with that, Mr. Al-Shara? I am Christian Amanpour, international correspondent and very sophisticated journalist. Mr. Al-Shara, it has come to my attention that you were once a terrorist and now you are the president of Syria. What say you? That was her question. Pretty much that was her question to Al-Shara. So you got to give her credit for bringing up the Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra terrorist angle with Al-Shara. And his answer to Christian Amanpour was saying that I was a terrorist and judging me as a terrorist is politicized. Judging people as terrorists needs to be proven. And then he gave this long drawn out speech, a long drawn out statement about how the word terrorism and terrorist is just misunderstood. There's just a wrong definition, a misunderstanding of what a terrorist is and what terrorism is all about. That was pretty much his response to Christian Amanpour, Mr. Al-Jolani Al-Shara, dressed in a very nice, very expensive suit. Bizarro Zelensky.
As you know, you have a past of being a terrorist. I mean, you worked for Al-Qaeda. What do you say to people in this room, in foreign capitals, about where your heart and your mind and your allegiance is now? You know, what would you say to maybe some guests sitting in this room who have yet to fully empower and some who absolutely deny women's rights?
أعتقد السؤال فيه كثير من
I think that the question has a lot of issues in it and contradictions, but still I will try to answer the question. Saying that I was a terrorist and judging me as a terrorist is politicized. You know that there are many politicized opinions today. Judging on people as terrorists need to be proven, because what is the definition of terrorism or of a terrorist? It's been 25 years of us hearing this word in the world, but there is a lot of confusion in understanding the word terrorist.
And Zelensky was not in Doha. At least he has not shown up yet. So Zelensky may be out of the cool kids club, but he is on his way to London. That's right, he is on his way to London. He is going to meet with the big three, MMS, the big three. It's a good name for a boy band, huh? MMS. In London, Zelensky is going to meet with Merz, Macron, and Stammer. Zelensky is also in London. He's the Ukraine ambassador to London. I wonder if they're gonna discuss some things between them. Zelensky, Stammer, Macron, and Merz. But Zelensky, he is going to travel to London to meet with the big three. And they took a call yesterday from Witkoff and Kushner. Kushner is writing the Ukraine peace plan, right? Jared Kushner is going to be the author of the Ukraine peace plan, according to Putin's presidential aide, Ushakov. And Witkoff and Kushner, according to Axios, they had a 2-hour talk with Zelensky, and this concludes 3 days of meetings, which took place in Miami, which is the foreign policy capital of the United States. 3 days of meeting with Umerov, Witkoff, Kushner, and Umerov, who is also implicated in the Naboo $100 million energy scandal. But he's still negotiating with the United States. And they capped everything off with a phone call to the Green Goblin. And according to Axios, citing sources familiar with the matter, there are two issues that remain unresolved. If you can resolve these two issues, then it looks like the United States will have found common ground with Ukraine. That's right, the United States negotiating with Ukraine. Never mind the fact that the United States funds Ukraine, arms Ukraine, controls Ukraine, pretty much runs the intel services in Ukraine, pretty much owns all of Kiev, but they are negotiating with Zelensky, trying to find common ground because for some strange, weird reason, the United States cannot convince Zelensky to end the conflict and to agree to Russia's June 2024 Istanbul Plus root causes terms. They have to negotiate with Zelensky and get Zelensky's buy-in. So the two issues that Zelensky has really dug his heels in, and that the United States is trying to work with him, are the territorial issues. Zelensky refuses to withdraw from Donetsk, and the issue of U.S. security guarantees. And according to Axios, the issue of security guarantees has almost been solved, pretty much been solved, according to Axios. The territory discussion was difficult, a source with knowledge of the call said. Russia still demands Ukraine withdraw from parts of Donbass it controls, but the U.S. is trying to develop new ideas to bridge the issue, a second source said. Another key issue was U.S. security guarantees to Ukraine. One source said the parties made significant progress and neared agreement, but more work is needed to ensure both sides interpret the draft security guarantee similarly. So Umerov, he's going to get on a plane, go to London. He's going to meet up with Zelensky in London. And that's where the big three Green Goblin peace talks are going to take place. Stammer to host Zelensky, Macron, and Merz for peace talks. MMS, Macron, Merz, and Stammer. Or is it Merz, Macron, and Stammer? Merz, Macron, and Stammer. It sounds better, right? Merz, Macron, and Stammer. MMS, the big three. According to The Telegraph, the trio of European leaders are attempting to ensure Ukraine is not betrayed during the U.S.-led peace process with Russia, a possibility Mr. Macron alluded to in a leaked phone call earlier this week. Yes, the Europeans are very concerned about a Trump betrayal because the Europeans, the big three, they are sovereign. They are sovereign and they make their own decisions. They do not need to take orders from the United States or consult with the United States. No, oh no. They are going to make their own decisions when it comes to Project Ukraine, the big three sovereign nations of Europe. That's right. They don't take orders from Trump. They don't take orders from nobody. They're going to sit down with Ukraine, with Zelensky, and they're going to discuss their own formula for a resolution to the conflict in Ukraine. Right? They're not going to take orders from the Trump administration, the big three. They're very concerned that Trump is going to betray them. That is their big concern. According to Bloomberg, the big three, they are going to convince Zelensky to not agree to concessions on territory, to not withdraw from Donbass. That is what they're going to convince Zelensky to do, or to say to the Trump administration. No, I will not agree to some sort of withdrawal from Donbass. According to Bloomberg, the big three are saying that this would be a capitulation. For Zelensky to agree to withdraw from Donbass would be a capitulation. And they cannot allow this. So they're going to tell Zelensky to go to the Americans, to go to Witkoff and Kushner and say, no, I will not. I will not withdraw from Donbass. According to Bloomberg, the European strategy is to reunite with America. If they can reunite with America, if they can achieve unity with America, because now there is a divide between the Europeans and between the United States. There's this divide, and it's tearing Europe apart. It's tearing Europe apart, this divide between Europe and the United States. It's tearing apart victory for Project Ukraine and the strategy now, the wonder weapon to defeating Russia, according to Bloomberg, is for Europe to unite with America. That is the strategy. That is the plan. When Macron comes up with a plan, well, then you can take it to the bank. It is going to work because Macron is a master strategist. So that is what Bloomberg is reporting. Zelensky to tell the Americans no way on troop withdrawal from Donbass, and the Europeans concerned at this divide with the United States, and the strategy going forward is unity. EU, Europe, UK, US unity. That is the path to victory. And Keith Kellogg, he is back. He is back, and he was at some event in the United States talking about the Trump peace talks, the US-Russia negotiations, the Ukraine conflict negotiations. And I guess Kellogg is still, technically, he is still the Trump envoy for Ukraine and Russia, right? He said he's going to resign. Actually, I don't even think he has said he's going to resign. The media is saying that he is going to resign in January. I don't think Kellogg has actually issued an official statement on a resignation. And I do believe he is still considered as the envoy, at least the U.S. envoy to Project Ukraine. And Kellogg, he said that we are at the final stages for a resolution to the conflict in Ukraine. He said we have 10 meters to go. He said that before. He likes that line. Now we're at the last 10 meters towards the finish line, he said. And there are two issues, according to Kellogg, that need to be resolved. Two issues. Issue number one is the territory, Donetsk. That is issue number one. And issue number two, according to Kellogg, is not security guarantees. He said the second issue that needs to be resolved, and if this issue is resolved, then we're going to have a resolution to the conflict in Ukraine, is who's going to control the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. That's the second issue that needs to be resolved. Russia controls the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. According to the Russian constitution, Zaporozhye is part of the Russian Federation. This is according to the Russian constitution. And they have full control of the ZNPP. So I'm not quite sure what needs to be resolved, what needs to be discussed in terms of the ZNPP and Zaporozhye. At least if you bring this to the Russian side, I imagine they're going to say, what are you talking about? What do we have to discuss with the ZNPP and with Zaporozhye? But that's Keith Kellogg. He's saying those are the two issues that need to be discussed. He supports more sanctions. He said that the way to pressure Russia is to continue with sanctions and military pressure, standard stuff that he's been saying for a while now. And then he was asked about U.S. boots on the ground, and he said no, there's going to be no U.S. troops in Ukraine. So he said that as well. The last 10 meters to the finish line are the hardest. I believe that if we resolve these two issues, everything else will fall into place. Trump's special envoy said at the National Defense Forum at the Reagan Center. He is still Trump's special envoy. So the Telegraph They are upset with stunning and brave Kaja Kallas. The divide between Europe and the United States is being driven by stunning and brave. She is not helping unite Europe and the United States. She is actually helping divide Europe and the United States, according to the UK's Telegraph. Owen Matthews, the EU's top diplomat, is a gift to the Kremlin. Kaja Kallas' hardline position isn't helping Ukraine. She's a gift to the Kremlin. Stunning and brave Kaja Kallas. She's not a gift to the Kremlin. Not only a gift to the Kremlin, Telegraph, she's a gift to the world. She's a gift to the freaking world. Stunning and brave. So the article talks about how Kaja Kallas is hardline with Russia, is creating more of a divide between the two allies. In the article, they talk about how Orban he's out of Project Ukraine, how Slovakia is out of Project Ukraine, but now you have the Czech Republic also signaling that they're done with Project Ukraine, and also Italy. Meloni, who has been a staunch supporter of the Green Goblin, hugging and kissing and hanging out with the Green Goblin, Giorgia Meloni. She is now checking out of Project Ukraine, and they talk about how Italy has decided to not move forward with the purchasing of weapons from the United States and then handing over those weapons to Ukraine. So they make that point in the article, and then they talk about how Kaja Kallas continues to make statements about a just and lasting peace, but she refuses to engage in diplomacy, even though the trajectory of the conflict is in Russia's favor, and Europeans are starting to signal, some European Union member states are starting to signal that they want out of Project Ukraine as well, but Kaja Kallas is refusing to engage in diplomacy with Moscow. The Telegraph says Kallas' response to Trump's plan has been that Europe supports a just and lasting peace and that Brussels' policy is to strengthen Ukraine and weaken Russia. Sounds good, except that strengthening Ukraine needs money, arms, and most urgently of all, a supply of young Ukrainians willing to continue fighting and dying. You know, the Telegraph even talks about how the lies coming out of Europe are not helping the situation. The history lies coming out of Europe are not helping the situation. And it actually highlights how Kallas has been mentioning how Russia has invaded at least 19 countries over the past 100 years. And it even says that Kallas overlooks the mustache man and Germany, Romania, Italy, Hungary, and Finland's invasion of the USSR. They actually say that in this article. And then the best line of them all. This line from the Telegraph is the cherry on top of the cake. It actually says that the White House is irritated by what they describe as Estonianization. Estonianization. That's right. The top White House officials are reportedly irritated by what they describe as the Estonianization of Europe's foreign policy. More, a new U.S. national security strategy published this week signals a major shift in Washington's attitude to its one-time closest allies in Europe. Dream of Estonianization. Dream of Estonianization. Where is Flea? Where is Flea? Estonianization. Yep, that is what's irking, what's bothering the United States, the Estonianization of Europe. Oh my God. So Musk is now determined to demolish the European Union. That's right. $150 million fine from the EU has now landed the EU in very, very troubled waters with the likes of not only Elon Musk, but pretty much the entire U.S. Trump administration. Vance is upset with Europe. Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, they're all upset with Europe and their fine of X. $150 million. Was it really worth it? Really? A fine of $150 million on X is now pushing Musk to call for the demolition of the European Union. EU's reputation is in tatters. EU's existence is in tatters. Tatters, I tell you. That's right. Musk is not letting up either. You go to his X feed, and every other post is bashing the European Union. Every other post is bashing the European Union and calling on the EU to dissolve, to be done with. We don't need the European Union anymore. We need sovereign European countries. Every other post from Elon Musk is about dissolving and being done with the European Union for $150 million. Really, Ursula? Really? Oh boy. Some of the memes that Musk is reposting are pretty good, I must admit. I like the one post that Musk reposted, the meme, where it says the EU's own opinion, and you can see all the gold stars. And then underneath it, you have an image, user reviews, and it's just one gold star. Elon Musk says LMAO. He's posted some other, let's go up this way. He's posted some other memes, which I can't put up here on YouTube, which reference the mustache man, but I'm not going to post them here on YouTube. The video will be taken down if I post the other memes that Elon Musk is putting out there on X. Musk also posted, how long before the EU is gone? Abolish the EU. And thank you, USA, Radoslav Sikorsky commented to Musk saying, go to Mars. There's no censorship of NAZI salutes there. Referencing the one time where Musk did the heart thing, right? From my heart to the crowd, and everyone said it was an NAZI salute during the campaign, the Trump campaign, and Sikorsky has grabbed onto that. Radoslav, neocon, thank you, USA. Sikorsky, go to Mars. Go to Mars. That's a great comeback from Sikorsky. Go to Mars because you have the money and the capability to try and get us to Mars, because you're the one human being on planet Earth who may actually get us to Mars, so that's where you should go, to Mars. Leave us alone here on Earth, according to Sikorsky. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, Radoslav Sikorsky. What's up, my friend? How's your lunch? So that is Musk. He's going hard at the European Union. They deserve it, absolutely. If there's one person that may be able to bring down the EU, it's Musk. He may actually do it. He's even taking jabs at 008 and the UK because of the UK's free speech policy, or lack of free speech. He posted a meme, free speech has not been banned in the UK, and we will arrest anyone who says it has. No one in Europe is being spared. Not the European Union, not Ursula, not 008 Stammer. Let's do it. Let's walk up. Let's do it. So meanwhile, on the battlefield, which is on the battlefield in Ukraine, which is what is driving all of this, that's what's driving all of this panic. That is what is forcing the Trump administration to try and get to a freeze in Ukraine. It's a situation on the battlefield and the collapse of the Ukraine military. We have 2 days of Russian drone and missile strikes into Ukraine, hitting military facilities, hitting energy facilities, 2 days in a row. And yesterday was a big one. Once again, causing massive blackouts. And you have to imagine that these big strikes against Ukraine are in a way a retaliation for Ukraine sending drones into Grozny and hitting that commercial high-rise building. And of course, Ukraine does not have the air defense to deal with any of this. You notice how over the past few months, I'd say over the past 3-4 months, the Ukraine military, they don't talk about how they're knocking out all of the Russian missiles and the drones. They don't put up the infographics anymore, and they don't put out statements saying that Russia launched 100 drones and 10 missiles, and we knocked down 110 drones and 20 missiles, right? They don't put out those statements anymore. They don't even bother with those statements, which to me signals that they just don't have any air defense left anymore. There's no air defense, so there's no reason to even try to fool people into believing that they have some sort of effective air defense system. They don't even bother putting out those statements. So that's what happened yesterday in Ukraine. Kremenchuk in the Poltava region was hit especially hard, the infrastructure in Kremenchuk. There are power outages, water shortages, and heating failures. And you can see a map of the Russian drone and missile attacks. So let's do a clown world. Let's walk up this way. Let's do a clown world, a couple of clown worlds, and we can wrap up today's video. Just your average neighborhood in Athens. So clown world number one is that there is German media. I forgot the name of the publication. It begins with an N. But this publication is saying that when BlackRock Merz, when he was in the opposition, not yet chancellor, but he was eyeing the chancellorship in Germany, that he got very upset at citizens making fun of him, creating memes about him online and just poking fun at BlackRock Merz. And so he filed thousands of criminal complaints against citizens for alleged online insults against him. And some of these complaints led to police searches of their homes. What a baby. What a BlackRock baby. Merz, the BlackRock baby. Yep. Can't have any memes making fun of me. No. I'm going to call the secret intel services, the secret police on you. I'm going to arrest you for making fun of me. Poor BlackRock Merz. What a baby. So, and he's running Germany now. Yeah, I think that explains everything. So sticking with Germany, the collectivist media is really freaking out about about the U.S., the new U.S. National Security Strategy document, and how it is throwing Europe under the bus. It's villainizing Europe, and it is not villainizing Russia. That is what the media is running with. They're very upset with this villainization of the poor Europeans, our allies, the Europeans, and you're not villainizing Russia. And so they're very, very angry with this document. And that's all it is a document. We'll see what the actions are, but for the time being, what we have is a document which is much more nuanced than what the media is making it out to be, right? It's not about, or at least it's not completely about, the United States pulling away from Europe or pulling away from NATO and focusing more on its hemisphere and its neighborhood. It's a lot more nuanced, but of course the media is making it out as if Trump is pulling back, isolationist, and he's leaving the Europeans by themselves. How are they going to survive without the United States of America? I don't know. I don't know how they'll do it. They'll have to find a way. So one of the parts in the new strategy document actually mentions how the United States is very upset, very disappointed with Germany, because Germany is building processing facilities. German industry is building facilities in China because they do not have access to cheap gas. They don't have access to cheap Russian gas, domestic, cheap Russian gas. They no longer have access to this. And so now they're having to go to China so they can do their business. And this has upset the United States. Oh my God, what an interesting place for a tree. All right. Only in Greece. Only in Greece. I love it. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Yeah. Nord Stream? Nord Stream? It's your fault, Germany. It is your fault, Germany, because Nord Stream got blown up and you guys did nothing. And now the United States is coming back to Germany and saying, you know what? We don't like how you're going to China and doing business in China because you don't have cheap gas in Germany. We don't like it. We don't like it. Yeah, but I mean, Nord Stream, Gilligan, he blew up Nord Stream. Gilligan, the skipper, Sergei K, right? They blew up Nord Stream. Mr. Trump, what else are we going to do? Oh boy. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. theduran.locals.com. We are on X. We are on Rumble. We are on Telegram. And also go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch. We are on Substack. Definitely check us out on Substack. And I will see everybody mañana. Take care.